Why are women labeled as impure during menstruation? Is it science, tradition, or a misunderstanding carried over generations? What if this belief wasn't born out of prejudice, but of practicality, and has simply overstayed its welcome? Today, we're unraveling the origins of this myth and how it impacts young girls stepping into this natural phase of life. Let's go back in time, thousands of years ago. People observed menstruation but didn't fully understand its biological purpose. Blood was associated with injury, danger, or sometimes magic. But menstrual blood was unique. It wasn't the result of a wound, and it came regularly, tied to the cycles of the moon. For ancient societies, this mystery sparked both reverence and fear. Now, imagine living in those times. There were no sanitary pads, tampons, or menstrual cups. Women used pieces of cloth, dried leaves, or even moss to absorb the blood. But these materials often leaked, causing discomfort and hygiene challenges. Places like kitchens and temples, which demanded high standards of cleanliness, became off-limits for menstruating women, not because they were considered inferior, but because managing menstruation in those spaces was practically difficult. The intention behind these restrictions may have been to ensure hygiene and to give women a chance to rest. However, over time, these practical considerations morphed into rigid taboos, and the narrative changed from practicality to impurity. Ancient religious texts often framed menstruation as a time of uncleanness. In Hindu texts, menstruation was linked to the idea of purification. Women were seen as undergoing a cyclical process of renewal, but this renewal was misunderstood as pollution. Over centuries, these ideas became more rigid, barring women from entering temples or participating in rituals. In Judaism, menstruating women were declared ritually unclean in the Torah. They had to follow purification rituals before rejoining religious activities. Christianity adopted similar notions in its early traditions, associating menstruation with Eve's sin, further entrenching the concept of impurity. People believed that menstrual blood had the power to contaminate. Crops might fail, food might spoil, or rituals might lose their sanctity if touched by a menstruating woman. Such beliefs, though unfounded, were born from a lack of scientific understanding and persisted because they fit into the social structures of the time. Over time, menstruation became a convenient excuse for marginalization. Restricting women from temples, kitchens, and communal spaces limited their roles in society, reinforcing patriarchal control. What started as a practical adaptation to menstrual hygiene turned into a means of suppressing women. As these beliefs were passed down, they evolved into strict customs. Instead of questioning the reasons behind these restrictions, families and societies blindly followed them. Mothers told their daughters, "You can't enter the kitchen." Priests said, "Stay out of the temple." Communities shunned menstruating women, making them feel ashamed of their natural cycle. Even as technology advanced and science explained menstruation, these customs remained rooted in tradition. In many parts of the world, menstrual stigma still thrives, affecting women's physical, emotional, and social well-being. Now, let's focus on how this stigma affects newly menstruating girls. Imagine being 12 or 13, excited about growing up, but then being told that something your body does naturally makes you impure. Girls are often taught to hide their periods. Whispering about pads, sneaking them to the bathroom, and avoiding questions create a sense of embarrassment. In many cultures, girls are excluded from social activities during their periods. This isolation can make them feel different and unworthy. The stigma can erode a girl's confidence, making her feel like her body is betraying her. This shame might linger, affecting her self-esteem as she grows. In places where period products are inaccessible, girls miss school during their periods, falling behind academically and limiting their future opportunities. But here's the harsh truth. It's not menstruation that holds them back. It's the stigma. The good news? This myth can be dismantled if we choose to confront it. Teach boys and girls that menstruation is a natural process, not something shameful. Normalize conversations about periods at home and in schools. No girl should miss school because she can't afford pads. Organizations and governments must work to ensure menstrual equity. families and communities need to reflect on why they follow certain practices. Are these customs helping or harming? Change starts with asking questions. Periods are not impure. They are a sign of life, fertility, and strength. Imagine a world where no girl is made to feel ashamed of her body, where menstruation is treated as a normal part of life, and where traditions evolve to empower rather than suppress. That world starts with us, our conversations, our actions, and our willingness to break the silence. What do you think about the stigma surrounding menstruation? Have you experienced or witnessed these taboos? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to join us in unraveling more myths and exploring the stories that shape our world.